It started with a sound, low, deep, like thunder under the ground. Nobody noticed at first. Not until the sky changed. Jason Raynor stood on the roof of his apartment building. It was almost midnight. The air was warm, calm. He looked up and saw strange clouds forming. They moved in circles, glowing dark purple and red. Others came out to look. People on the streets, on balconies, holding phones, pointing up. "What is that?" Someone asked. "Maybe a storm," another said. But it wasn't a storm. Suddenly, a bright beam of light shot down from the sky. It touched the center of the city right where the park was. The beam didn't make a sound. It was like silent lightning. Jason's eyes widened. What the hell is going on? He pulled out his phone. No signal, no internet. The screen went black. The lights around the city flickered. Then, complete darkness. A moment later, the screaming started. Screams in the dark. Jason rushed down from the roof. The building was shaking slightly. He ran outside. The streets were filled with confused people. Some were crying. Some were trying to call someone. Then a man ran out of an alley covered in blood. "They're biting! They're biting!" he yelled. People laughed at first. They thought it was a prank. Until they saw the man's arm half chewed, bones exposed. Behind him, a creature stepped out. It was tall, thin, with dark skin like burnt metal. Its eyes glowed white. Its mouth was filled with long, sharp teeth. And then it attacked. The crowd screamed. People ran in every direction. Jason froze for a moment. He watched as the creature jumped onto a woman and bit her neck. She screamed. And then she went still. In seconds. Dead. More creatures came. They crawled out of the dark, from alleys, from holes in the ground. They moved fast. Too fast. Whoever got bit died almost instantly. Jason ran. The stranger in the store. He reached a small store at the corner and rushed inside. The metal door was half open. Inside it was dark. He closed the door slowly behind him, breathing hard. There was someone else in the store. A woman, maybe 30 years old, holding a baseball bat. "Don't move," she said. "I'm not one of them," Jason said, raising his hands. She nodded. "I saw you running. My name's Ellie. I'm Jason." They both crouched behind the counter. Outside, screams continued. People were dying in the streets. The sound of growling, bones breaking, and sirens filled the night. Jason peeked out the window. "I saw one bite a man," he said. "He died in 5 seconds. It's like poison," Ellie nodded. "I saw it too. No one survives the bite." Just then, a loud crash. One of the creatures had broken into the building next door. They could hear it tearing something apart. Jason gripped a metal rod he found on the floor. "We need to get out of here." "Wait for morning," Ellie said. "They don't like the light." The bite. They stayed in the dark for hours. No sleep, no words. Just waiting. Then something slammed into the back door. Jason turned just in time to see a creature burst in. It was faster than he expected. Before he could move, it lunged and bit deep into his shoulder. Pain shot through his entire body. He screamed and fell. Ellie swung her bat. Once, twice. She hit the creature hard. It screeched and ran off into the shadows. Jason lay on the ground, bleeding. "Oh God." "You're bit," Ellie whispered. Jason looked at the bite. It was deep. The skin around it was turning black. "I don't feel right," he said. "Stay with me. Just stay awake," Ellie said, holding his hand. They both knew what came next. He was going to die. Just like the others, the change, but he didn't single quotes t. 10 minutes passed. Then 20. An hour. Jason was still alive. The black around. The bite faded. His breathing calmed. Ellie stared at him. This is not possible." Jason felt weak, but alive. "I should be dead," he whispered. His shoulders stopped bleeding. In fact, the skin around the bite was healing fast. Within another hour, there was only a faint mark. "What are you?" Ellie asked. Jason didn't know. Outside, the creatures were gone. The sky was still dark, but a strange peace had returned. Jason stood up slowly. "I don't think I'm the same anymore." Ellie picked up her backpack. "We need to find out what's going on before it happens again." The silent city. They walked through the city. Streets were empty. Bodies lay everywhere. Some people had tried to fight. Some had tried to hide. All had failed. Jason felt something different now. His ears picked up sounds he never noticed before. Distant movements. A hum under the earth. They found a military truck flipped on its side. Inside, a dead soldier held a radio. Jason picked it up. "Base. Base, do you copy?" he said. To his surprise, a voice answered. "Who is this?" Jason stepped back. I'm Jason Raynor. I'm in Sector 12. There was a pause. Then, the voice said, "Impossible. Sector 12 is lost. Everyone is dead." "Not everyone," Jason replied. "I was bitten." "I'm still alive." The line went silent. Then the voice returned. "Stay where you are. Extraction team is coming." The extraction. 15 minutes later, a black helicopter landed in the middle of the street. Soldiers in white suits jumped out. They grabbed Jason and Ellie, put them in a secure pod. Jason's hands were tied. "Hey, she's with me," he shouted. "Only you were requested," one of the soldiers said. "She's not authorized." Jason looked at Ellie as the doors closed. "I'll find you," he shouted. The pod flew fast. In less than an hour, they reached a secret underground facility. White walls, bright lights, cold air. Doctors and scientists surrounded Jason. "He survived the bite," one said. "Run full scans, blood, tissue, brain activity." Jason was too tired to resist. The dream that night. Jason had a dream. He was floating in a dark space, surrounded by stars. He saw shapes, strange, tall beings. Their faces were hidden, but he could hear them. "You are the bridge," they whispered. "You are the first. You belong to us now." Jason woke up screaming. The mutation. The next morning, the lead scientist, Dr. Hayden, came to see him. "Jason, your DNA is changing. You're becoming something new." "What does that mean?" Jason asked. "You didn't just survive. You adapted. The bite activated something in you." Jason stood up. "I'm still human." Dr. Hayden looked serious. For now, Jason felt anger rising. "You don't care about helping people. You're just studying me like I'm a lab rat." Dr. Hayden said nothing. Jason looked out the small window. "What are those things? Where did they come from?" Dr. Hayden replied, "They're not from here, and they're not finished." Ending hook, cliffhanger. That night, the power went out in the lab. Red lights flashed. Alarms screamed. Jason's door opened by itself. A voice echoed in his head. "Come to us." He stepped into the hallway. All the guards were down, some dead, some missing. Jason followed the voice deeper into the lab until he saw a creature standing at the end of the corridor. It didn't attack. It spoke. "You are not like them, Jason. You are ours." Jason Raynor stood frozen in the hallway of the underground lab. The red emergency lights flashed around him. Alarms screamed from somewhere deeper inside. In front of him stood a creature, tall, dark-skinned, glowing white eyes. But this one didn't attack. It only stared. "You are not like them," the creature said in a deep, echoing voice. "You are one of us." Jason couldn't move, couldn't breathe. "How are you speaking to me?" he asked. "With your mind. We are connected now. You survived the change." Before Jason could speak again, the creature turned and vanished into the shadows. Chaos in the lab suddenly. Soldiers appeared behind Jason, guns pointed, shouting. "Down on the floor." "Don't move," Jason raised his hands. "I saw one of them. It didn't attack." The lead soldier walked forward, face covered by a black helmet. Where did it go? Jason pointed down the hallway. It just disappeared. The soldier looked at him closely. You didn't try to escape? No, Jason said. The door opened by itself. Something is happening to me. You need to understand. The soldier hit him in the stomach with the end of his rifle. Jason fell to the ground. Take him to level 5, the soldier ordered. Isolation chamber. Level 5 Jason was placed inside a white, cold room. No windows. One camera in the corner. He sat on a metal bed, holding his head. His shoulder, the place where he was bitten, was glowing faintly. He touched it. The skin was hot, but there was no pain. In his mind, he heard whispers. Soft, almost like thoughts, but not his own. You are awake. The others were weak. You are the bridge. He closed his eyes tightly. Get out of my head. Suddenly, the door opened. A woman entered. She wore a lab coat and glasses. Her face was calm but curious. I'm Dr. Lin. I'm here to ask questions, she said. Jason sat up. No more tests. No more blood. I just want to talk, she said. You survived the bite. That makes you the only one. Jason stared at her. Why me? Dr. Lin sat across from him. We don't know yet, but we have theories. The secret program DR. Lin showed him a tablet. On the screen were files, DNA charts, video recordings. One of the videos showed a creature biting a soldier. The man died in seconds, but look. At this, she said, showing another screen. It showed Jason, unconscious in the lab after he was brought in. His body temperature was rising fast. His blood cells were changing shape, healing faster than normal. You're mutating, Dr. Lin said. But not like them. You're something new. Jason looked down at his hands. I don't feel like myself anymore. Dr. Lin nodded. You're becoming something we don't understand. Jason leaned forward. What are they? Where did they come from? Dr. Lin paused. We believe they are not natural. They were created. By who? By us, she said quietly. Secret program. Years ago, we tried to create a weapon. It escaped. A dead man speaks. Later that day, Jason was taken to a new room. There were 2 guards with him. The room was cold and full of machines. On one of the tables was a dead body, covered with a white sheet. Dr. Lin was there too. This man was also bitten. But something strange happened. She pulled the sheet back. The man's face was pale. His chest wasn't moving. Clearly dead. But suddenly, his lips moved. Jason stepped back. What the hell? A whisper came from the dead man's mouth. Jason Raynor. Jason's heart pounded. He knows my name. Dr. Lin's face turned white. He's been dead for hours. The dead man's eyes opened. All black. He's rising, the body said. He is the first. Then the body went still again. Escaped that night. Jason couldn't sleep. His head was full of voices, visions. He saw planets, alien ships, and cities that didn't exist on Earth. He also saw one face again and again. The creature from the hallway. Jason felt it calling to him. From far away. Suddenly, his door clicked. It wasn't locked anymore. He stepped into the hallway. No guards, no alarms. Everything was quiet. Too quiet. He moved quickly, trying to find a way out. He passed labs, offices, and rooms filled with bodies, dead soldiers, scientists, and patients. Something had happened. In one room, he found Ellie. She was tied to a chair, unconscious. Ellie! He rushed in, untied her, and shook her gently. She opened her eyes slowly. Jason, you're alive? I'm more than alive. We have to go now. Mental connection. As they ran through the lower levels, Jason started to feel dizzy. Images flashed in his mind. Ellie's memories. Her fear, her thoughts. I can see what you're thinking, he said. Shocked. Ellie looked at him, surprised. I can hear you. Without speaking, Jason stopped. You were bit too? Ellie pulled down her sleeve. A small scar on her arm. They bit me in the store. I didn't tell you. I was scared. Jason touched her arm. You're like me. We're connected, she whispered suddenly. They both heard a loud noise. A group of soldiers running their way. Move! Jason shouted. The soldiers chased them through the corridors. Bullets flew. Sirens screamed. Jason grabbed Ellie's hand. They turned a corner and ran into a large room filled with glass tanks. Inside the tanks were creatures floating. Half alive, half dead. Keep moving. They reached a control panel. Jason hit random buttons. The emergency doors opened. They rushed out into the night. The world outside had changed. Cities were dark. Smoke in the sky. Fires in the distance. Radio towers were silent. Cars abandoned. Roads empty. Jason and Ellie walked through the city. They saw signs painted on walls. They're inside us. Do not trust the government. One survived. Find him. Jason stopped and stared. They're talking about me. Ellie nodded. You're not just immune. You're something more. Jason looked up at the sky. Stars were brighter than ever. One of them blinked, moved. That's not a star, he whispered. That's a ship. The signal. They found an old radio tower still working. Inside, a man was sitting in front of machines, tuning dials. You're the immune one, the man said when he saw Jason. How do you know? We picked up signals from the hive, from below. They're sending your name. Jason looked at the screen. It was full of symbols and one human word. Jason_Raynor_activate. What does that mean? Ellie asked. It means, Jason said slowly, they're waiting for me. Ending twist. Suddenly, the radio machines began to spark. The screens turned black. A deep voice came through the speaker. Jason, your time is coming. Come below. Come home. Jason looked at Ellie. I think I know where to go next. The night was colder than usual. Jason Raynor stood on the top floor of an abandoned building, staring at the dark sky. The stars were strange. One of them moved again. Not like a plane. Not like a satellite. It pulsed. Like it was alive. Ellie sat beside him, wrapping her arms around her knees. She hadn't said a word in an hour. Neither had Jason. They had escaped the lab. They had seen things they couldn't explain. Dead bodies speaking. Creatures that didn't kill him or Ellie. A voice from the sky calling his name. Jason was scared, not of dying, but of what he was becoming. Jason_Raynor_activate in the radio tower. The old man who helped them was now gone, burned, vaporized, right after the signal came through. Jason still remembered the words from the speaker. Jason_Raynor_activate. Come below. Come home. He looked at Ellie. Do you think they really want me, or do they want to control me? I don't know, she whispered. But the signal wasn't from Earth. Jason nodded. Then we follow it. The road to nowhere. They found a working car, an old army jeep with just enough fuel. A paper map in the glove box showed a place marked Zone 9, Signal Origin. It was far, near the mountains, deep in the quarantine zone. As they drove through empty roads, they saw how broken the world had become. Cars left in the middle of highways. Fires still burning in cities. No birds, no animals. Only silence. They passed a small village. The buildings were crushed. Creatures had been here, but something strange was written on the walls. He walks with the voice. One of us walks in human skin. Jason Raynor equals hope. Jason stared at the words. They know about me. Ellie touched his shoulder. They fear you. Or maybe they need you. Voices in his head as they got closer to Zone 9, the whispers returned. Jason held his head, trying to block the voices. Do you hear them again? Ellie asked. Jason nodded slowly. Stronger now. They're calling. Showing me something. He closed his eyes. Suddenly, he saw images: an underground chamber filled with light, a throne made of bones, and creatures bowing in silence. One of them pointed at him. "You are the key," it said. "You must come to us before the others." "Do." Jason opened his eyes, sweating. "We have to hurry. We're not alone." ZONE9. By midnight, they reached the edge of ZONE9. A tall wall stood ahead, rusted and broken. The sign read, "Do not enter, contaminated area, kill." On sight, Ellie looked through binoculars. "There's movement. People inside." Jason took a deep breath. "Let's find out who survived." They climbed through a hole in the fence and moved carefully. Inside, the place looked like an old science facility mixed with alien tech. Dark towers, strange lights, dead plants that looked alive. Suddenly, a voice yelled, "Freeze!" A group of survivors stepped out of the shadows. They wore strange gear, half military, half homemade armor. One of them stepped forward. A tall woman with silver eyes. "You're Jason Raynor," she said. Jason raised his hands. "Yeah, and you are?" She nodded slowly. "I'm Commander Rhea, and we've been waiting for you." The truth about ZONE9. They were taken inside an old underground bunker. The walls were covered in maps, screens, and strange glowing crystals. Rhea led them to a table. "We've picked up the same signal you did weeks ago, but we didn't know what it meant until your name showed up." Ellie leaned in. "You heard the Jason_Raynor_activate part." Rhea nodded. "And then everything changed. Machines turned on by themselves. Creatures stopped attacking us. It's like they're afraid of you." Jason was silent. He felt something deeper than fear. Like something inside him wanted to break free. Rhea placed a hand on a glowing stone. "This is alien tech. They left it behind after the first breach, but only you can activate it." Jason touched the stone. It pulsed, bright blue light spreading. Across the room, everyone stepped back. "It's you," Rhea whispered. "You're connected to the hive." The hive mind. That night, Jason had another vision. He stood in a giant chamber made of bone and metal. Hundreds of creatures knelt before a glowing throne. On that throne sat a figure, taller than the others, wearing a crown of thorns. The figure looked like Jason. "You are me," it said. "I am your future." Jason took a step back. "No, I'm human. You were, now you are more." Jason screamed and woke up. Ellie rushed to his side. "What did you see?" Jason grabbed her hand. "They don't want to kill me. They want to be me." A dangerous mission. The next morning, Rhea gave them a mission. "There's a cave deep in the hills. It's where the first signal came from. We've never been able to go near it. The creatures guard it day and night." Jason stood. "But they won't hurt me." Rhea nodded. "Exactly. You can go in. Find the source, shut it down, or talk to it." Jason looked at Ellie. "You don't have to come," she smiled. "I didn't come this far to stay behind." The cave. They left at nightfall, moving through the hills. As they got closer to the cave, the air changed. It felt thick, heavy. Jason could feel thousands of minds pressing against his own, watching, waiting. When they reached the cave, dozens of creatures stood outside, but none attacked. They stepped aside. Jason and Ellie walked through the dark tunnel deeper into the earth. The walls pulsed with light, like veins under skin. The sound of a low hum filled their ears. After what felt like hours, they entered a massive chamber. At the center was a large black stone, floating in the air. Under it a machine, alien, powerful, and around it, tall beings with glowing eyes. Not like the others. These were older, smarter. One stepped forward. It looked at Jason and spoke in a deep voice. "You are the immune one. You are the next." The creature pointed at the floating stone. "This is the core. It controls the hive. It needs a mind, a leader." Jason stepped back. Why me? You survived. You changed. You can command the hive. You can stop the war. Ellie looked at him, scared. Jason, if you do this, you won't be you anymore. Jason looked at the stone. Inside it, he could feel everything. Every life. Every creature. Every secret. He heard screams, memories, pain, truth. I can end it, Jason whispered. I can make them stop. But at what cost? Ellie asked. Jason reached out his hand. Ending twist suddenly. The chamber shook. Explosions above. Ria's voice came through the radio. Jason! The military found us. They're bombing the hills. You have to get out. Jason looked at the core, then at Ellie. I have to choose. Let them destroy everything, or take control of it. Ellie grabbed his hand. Whatever you decide, I'm with you. Jason stepped forward, placed his palm on the core. His eyes turned white. His body rose off the ground. The hive bent there. Knees. Jason's voice echoed through the cave and through every creature on Earth. I am Jason Raynor, and I command you now. Jason Raynor stood in the center of the glowing chamber. His body floated above the ground. The black core pulsed beneath him like a living heart. All around him, the hive bowed. Their glowing eyes stared at him with respect. Or fear, Jason's. Hands burned with white light. His mind expanded like a universe opening. He could feel everything, every creature connected to the hive. Pain, hunger, anger, obedience. And behind it all, a silent voice, watching, a new power. Jason's body dropped slowly to the ground. He took a deep breath. Ellie rushed to his side. Jason, are you okay? His eyes flashed white for a second, then faded back to normal. I can feel them, he whispered. They're listening to me now. He raised one hand. The creatures around them stood straight. One by one, they backed away, silent. They're following your orders? Ellie asked. Jason nodded. I didn't tell them to. They just know now I'm their leader. Ellie looked around. Does this mean the war is over? Jason shook his head. Not yet. The bombing above suddenly. The cave ceiling trembled. Rocks fell. Explosions echoed above them. Jason heard Ria's voice again through the radio. Jason, the military thinks we're infected. They're bombing Zone 9. We're trying to hold them off, but we need backup. Jason looked up at the ceiling. We're coming. He turned to the hive creatures. Protect the surface. Do not kill unless attacked. They nodded silently, then vanished into the shadows. Ellie followed Jason as they ran back through the tunnels. The energy around him had changed. His steps were faster, stronger. He didn't seem fully human anymore, but his eyes were clear. His mind sharp. He wasn't just part of the hive. He was something new. War on the surface. As Jason and Ellie reached the surface, chaos greeted them. Helicopters flew overhead. Missiles hit the mountain. Fire rose into the sky. Ria and her group were fighting from behind a broken wall. Their homemade weapons were no match for the army's drones, but something had changed. The hive was no longer attacking them. They were protecting the humans. Jason raised his hands. Stop, he shouted. His voice carried like thunder. Everything froze. Even the machines paused. Then Jason pointed toward the sky. A group of hive warriors rose from the ground, leaping into the air. They slammed into one of the helicopters, tearing it apart without killing the pilot. They dropped him gently on the ground. Ellie gasped. They're following your rules. Jason looked at the shocked soldiers. We're not your enemy. The betrayal and army commander stepped out from behind a tank, holding a megaphone. This is Commander Briggs. Stand down, or we open fire. Jason stepped forward. You've already fired. But I'm not here to fight you. I'm here to stop this war. Briggs narrowed his eyes. You're infected. You're the cause of all this. Jason looked at the hive warriors standing silently behind him. They won't attack unless you do. Briggs raised a remote control. You think you can control monsters? You're just another experiment gone wrong. He pressed a button. A shockwave hit the air. Jason screamed, falling to his knees. The core connection trembled. His mind felt like it was tearing apart. Ellie ran to him. Jason, what's happening? One of the hive warriors cried out in pain, its body shaking. Another fell to the ground dead. Briggs smiled. We built the hive. We can still destroy it. Collapse of control. Jason clenched his fists. You did this? His voice echoed unnaturally. The sky darkened. Lightning flashed without thunder. The air felt charged. Jason stood up slowly. His eyes glowed again. I gave you a choice. You chose war. With one wave of his hand, the ground cracked. Vines shot out from below, wrapping around tanks and pulling them down. Hive creatures rose from the ground, surrounding the soldiers, but not attacking. Jason pointed at the remote in Briggs' hand. It exploded, turning to dust. Briggs fell backward, eyes wide. Jason walked toward him. You wanted control. Now you have none. Jason's message, the battle stopped. Silence filled the burning sky. Jason stepped onto a broken wall and faced everyone. Survivors, hive, soldiers. I didn't ask for this, he said. But I survived the bite for a reason. He raised his voice. This world changed because of human greed. You tried to create a weapon, but what you made was a mirror. The hive reflects what we are inside. He turned to Briggs. And you wanted to kill anything you didn't understand. Jason looked at the hive warriors. No more killing. No more war. We rebuild now, or we all fall together. Ellie watched him, a tear in her eye. He wasn't just Jason anymore. He was something more. Something powerful, something dangerous. Hive evolution. Over the next few days, the world changed again. Hive stopped attacking. Cities saw creatures walking calmly through streets, not hurting anyone. Jason's voice was heard through strange signals across the world. He gave one message: we are not enemies. We are one world now. Scientists, leaders, and survivors all tried to understand what had happened, but only Jason and Ellie knew the full truth. He wasn't just immune. He wasn't just leading the hive. He was changing them. And himself. The hive was no longer just a weapon. It was evolving. The silent signal. One night, Ellie found Jason alone, staring at a tower. The core had been moved there. It now pulsed like a heartbeat. What are you thinking? She asked. Jason didn't answer at first. Then he said, there's another signal. Far away, not from Earth. Ellie looked worried. Alien? Jason nodded. The hive. They weren't just made here. Something else is watching. Something older. He pointed to the sky. It's coming. Ending twist. Suddenly, the core began to glow brighter. Too bright. Jason grabbed his head. Pain shot through his brain. He saw a new vision space, stars. A giant ship made of black stone. A creature sat on a throne, eyes glowing like the core. It spoke without moving. Jason Raynor, you have awakened what should have stayed buried. We are coming. Jason fell to his knees. Ellie held him. What did you see? She asked. Jason looked at her, eyes full of fear. We're not the top of the food chain. The night was quiet. Too quiet. Jason Raynor stood near the tower, staring at the sky. His eyes were still glowing faintly, but his face looked pale, tired, worried. Ellie watched him from a distance. She knew something had changed in him. Ever since he touched the core, he hadn't been the same. He didn't sleep. He didn't eat much. And now he kept talking about a new signal. One not from Earth. The second signal. 3 days had passed. Since the last battle, the hive had pulled back into the forests. Cities were quiet. Soldiers stopped shooting. The world waited. People watched their screens, wondering if it was over. But Jason knew the truth. It was just beginning. The core now hummed non-stop. Strange lights blinked on its surface, forming symbols no one could read. Not even Jason, but the message was clear. They are on their way. Ellie sat beside Jason. You keep saying they're coming. Who are they? Jason closed his eyes. The ones who made the hive, the original minds, the architects of this system. Ellie frowned. Aliens? Jason nodded. Not just aliens, there's something worse. Something ancient. Something that doesn't care about humans. Or hive. A vision of the end that night. Jason had another vision. He saw Earth from space, quiet and blue. Then a shadow moved. Across the stars. A giant ship, black as night, shaped like a serpent with wings. Inside the ship, thousands of frozen bodies floated in glass chambers. Not human. Not hive. Something else. Tall, cold beings with metal skin and bright silver eyes. One of them opened its eyes. It looked directly at Jason, across space and time, and it said, "You've awakened the core. We are coming to take it back." The warning. Jason woke up gasping. Ellie was already holding him. Another vision? She asked. He nodded. There. Only days away, maybe less, and when they arrive, they won't ask questions. They'll just destroy everything. Ellie looked around the tower. Can we stop them? Jason stood up. We can try, but first we need to prepare. He called Rhea on the come link. We have a problem, he said. A big one. Preparing for invasion. Commander Rhea arrived at the tower with a small group of her fighters. They had built new defenses, turrets, shields, and radar towers. Jason walked her through what he saw. Alien minds, cold, no emotion. They built the hive as a control system. A test. And now that it's active again, they want it back. Rhea crossed her arms. And they'll kill everything in their way. Jason nodded. Unless we stop them, Rhea asked. How? Jason looked at the core. We turn the hive into something it's never been before. Free. Rewriting the hive. Jason went deep into the tower alone. The core floated in front of him, glowing brighter every day. He placed both hands on it. Pain shot through his arms, into his mind. He saw memories, millions of them. Creatures living and dying. Wars across planets. A voice shouting, no freedom. Only order. Jason screamed, pushing deeper. He found a gate. A code, hidden in the hive's center. He unlocked it. Suddenly, across the world, hive creatures twitched. Some stopped moving. Others howled into the night. In a jungle in South America, a hive queen fell to the ground. She stood up slowly and looked at her hands like she was thinking. Across the globe, the hive began to change. They were no longer just controlled. They were thinking. Ellie's discovery while Jason worked on the core. Ellie searched through files left by the scientists who created Zone 9. One folder caught her eye. Project Architects. Origin UNKNOW, and inside were notes, symbols, and a message. The hive is not ours. We copied what we found. We never controlled it. We only borrowed it. And now the architects are coming to collect. She ran to Jason. We were never in charge. This was never ours. Jason nodded. I know, but now it's mine. I took control. And they hate that. First contact. One night, the sky cracked open. A bright light tore across the stars, like lightning in space. Everyone stopped. Hive, human, soldier looking up, and then it arrived. A massive ship appeared above the earth, silent, dark, floating like a mountain of steel. Jason stepped outside the tower. He could feel the minds inside the ship, cold, empty, watching him. A voice echoed in his mind. Return the core. Jason Raynor, or face extinction. Jason replied in his thoughts. No, this world is mine now. The voice replied, then we erase it. The attack begins. Suddenly, the sky lit up. Beams of white energy fell from the ship. hitting parts of the earth-melting metal, turning cities into glass. The hive screamed in pain. Many were destroyed in seconds, but others ran toward the tower, toward Jason, seeking guidance. Protection. Jason raised his hands. Defend, but do not destroy life. The hive obeyed. They grew armor, wings. Some turned into machines. Others became faster, stronger. Together, they launched into the sky. A battle had begun. War in the skies. Jason and Ellie stood in the command center. Rhea gave updates. They're targeting old hive zones first. They want the core unlinked. Jason stared at the screen. If they destroy the core, I die. Ellie turned. What? Jason nodded. I'm part of it now. My mind, it's inside. Rhea frowned. Then we protect it with everything. Jason smiled. No, I'm going up there. Everyone looked at him like he was insane. You can't, Ellie shouted. You'll die. Jason walked to the launch pad. Maybe, but I need to know what they really want. And why they're so afraid of me. The infiltration. Jason entered a bioship grown by the hive. It responded to his touch, wrapping around him like armor. He launched into the sky, flying straight toward the alien ship. As he got closer, the ship opened. A door, an invitation. Jason entered. Inside, everything was quiet. No guards, no weapons. Just silver walls and a throne room. There, the architect waited. It stood tall, over 10 feet. Its face was smooth. No mouth, no eyes. But Jason could hear it. You are the error. Jason stepped forward. I'm human. You created monsters. I gave them choice. You gave them chaos. Jason raised his hand. I gave them freedom. The architect's body glowed. Then we erase you. Ending twist. Suddenly, Jason's body lit up. The core inside him reacted. A wave of white light burst from his chest. Across Earth, every hive creature screamed, but not in pain. In power. They stood taller, smarter. Their eyes turned white like Jason's. The architect stepped back. Impossible. Jason floated off the ground. You didn't create me, he said. You just started something you couldn't finish. The walls cracked. The ship trembled. Jason smiled. This world isn't yours anymore. The alien ship shook violently. The walls cracked. Lights flickered. Jason Raynor floated in the center of the throne room. White energy pulsed from his body. The architect, the cold, tall being with silver eyes, took a step back. You are not hive, it said in a voice that echoed without sound. You are not human. Jason's voice was calm but powerful. I'm something new. The first strike. Without warning, the architect raised its hand. A wave of black energy flew toward Jason. Jason blocked it with a shield of white light. The blast hit, shook the ship, but he stood firm. Then he responded. With one gesture, the ship's walls began to grow vines, hive tech fusing with alien metal. The architect's face stayed still, but its voice was sharp. You are corrupting our design. Jason replied. No, I'm fixing your mistake. He launched forward. The battle had begun. Earth defends back on Earth. Chaos had returned. The alien mothership hovered in the sky like a black moon. Smaller ships dropped from it, each one carrying deadly machines. Cities were burning again. The hive had changed. They were no longer monsters. They were soldiers, defenders, led by Rhea, Ellie, and several hive leaders. They fought back. The battlefield was strange. Alien robots fighting hive creatures, side by side with humans. Ellie held a plasma rifle. She stood on a rooftop giving orders. We hold the line. Jason is inside that ship. We give him time. Inside the alien ship, Jason fought through the strange corridors of the alien mothership. The ship was alive. It tried to block him, walls closing, floors shifting, but Jason had control. His connection to the hive let him push through. He saw more architects inside, standing in tall glass tubes, sleeping. Waiting. He realized the truth. This is not an army, he whispered. It's a factory. He placed his hand on one tube. A vision filled his mind. Planets destroyed. Civilizations wiped out. Every race made to serve one rule: obey. Jason stepped back. You didn't build the hive to protect. You built it to control, the architect behind him answered. We are order. Without us, there is only chaos. Jason clenched his fists. Then I choose chaos. The war grows on Earth, Rhea and Ellie were barely holding on. A massive alien machine crashed into the battlefield, a walking tower with glowing weapons. Hive warriors ran at it, but were blasted into dust. Ellie screamed, Jason, where are you? We can't stop this. At that moment, the sky split open. A swarm of hive creatures flew from the mountains, ones not seen before. They were glowing, armored, and fast. Jason had woken the rest of the hive, the ancient hive creatures that had been asleep for thousands of years. They attacked the alien machines like a storm of fire. Rhea shouted, he did it! He called more. Mind versus mind. Inside the mothership, Jason faced the architect in its true form. No longer hiding behind armor or words, the creature grew. Its body became liquid metal, arms turning into blades. Jason transformed to his body, glowing, veins full of hive energy. Their minds clashed first, not with fists, but thoughts. Memories, emotions, and power collided like waves. Jason saw stars dying. The architect saw Jason's childhood, his pain, his fear. Your emotions make you weak, the architect said. Jason smiled. They make me strong. He charged. The final blow. Jason and the architect collided. Energy blasted in every direction. The ship cracked from the inside. Jason pushed harder. The core inside him spun faster, glowing like a sun. You will not win, the architect screamed. You are alone. Jason shouted back, not anymore. And then across space, every hive creature, every freed mind, every soldier, and every human survivor connected for one brief second. They shared one thought: we fight together. Jason struck the architect with a final blow of light. The creature screamed and vanished. The ship collapses. Jason fell to his knees. The mothership shook. Systems failed. The walls cracked. A voice spoke. Core breach detected. Evacuate. Jason looked up. He had done it, but he was still inside. He ran. The hallway behind him exploded. Fire chased him. He reached a small escape ship, but only one. He paused, looked back. Then, without a word, he climbed in and hit launch. Back to Earth, the escape pod crashed near the tower. Ellie and Rhea ran to it. The door opened slowly. Smoke poured out. Jason stepped out, alive but barely. His face was pale, his hands shaking. Ellie hugged him. You're alive. Jason looked at her. We're all alive. For now. Rhea asked, is it over? Jason looked at the sky. No, that was just one ship, a scout. He pointed upward. They'll come in force next time, and we need to be ready. A new evolution in the days that followed. Strange things began to happen. Some hive creatures started learning human language. One hive child helped rebuild a hospital. Another stopped a fire in a city. People started asking questions. Could the hive be more than weapons? Could they live with humans? Jason sat alone on the tower roof, watching the stars. Ellie joined him. What are you thinking? Jason replied, about what's next. Ellie smiled. You mean part 2 of the end of the world? Jason chuckled. No, I mean something else. He pointed to the stars. I think we need to go to them before they come back. Ending twist deep in space, far beyond Earth. Thousands of architect ships floated in silence. Then one ship blinked to life. A message played across the fleet. The core has awakened. The Earthborn has survived. We launch in one cycle. Their engines lit up like dying stars. The war was far from over. The stars above Earth looked peaceful. But Jason Raynor knew the truth. Peace was only an illusion. The real war was just beginning. The architects were coming back. Not one ship this time. Thousands, preparing to leave Earth. Jason stood at the edge of the rebuilt tower. Hive creatures worked silently beside humans. It was a strange sight, soldiers and monsters building ships together. Ellie walked up behind him. "Are you sure about this?" Jason looked up. "Yes, if we wait. They'll wipe us out. But if we go to them first, maybe we have a chance." Rhea joined them. "The hive is changing, faster than we expected. They don't just follow orders anymore. They think, some even dream." Jason nodded. "Then we give them a future. Not just survival, but purpose." Jason's transformation. Jason wasn't the same anymore. The core inside him had changed his body and mind. He didn't need food. He didn't sleep. His skin sometimes glowed with white patterns, like moving tattoos. He could hear hive thoughts even in silence. And sometimes they heard his dot. One morning, a small hive child approached him. It placed a hand on his arm. "You dream like us," it said in broken words. Jason bent down. "Do you dream of stars?" The child nodded. "And fire." Jason stood. "Then we fly before the fire comes." Building the starship, the engineers, human and hive, worked day and night. They built something massive. A hybrid ship made from human steel and hive bone. They called it the Dawnwalker. It was alive, part machine, part creature. It could heal itself. It could jump across space using the core's energy. Jason would pilot it. He was the only one who could connect to its mind. Inside the ship, Ellie found strange control systems. "It's like it reads thoughts," she said. Jason replied. "It does. This isn't just a ship, it's a message." Saying goodbye before launch, the team said goodbye to Earth. Rhea stayed behind to lead the defenses. She shook Jason's hand. "If you don't come back." Jason smiled. "Then make sure they regret it." Ellie was going with him. So were 5 hive warriors, chosen by the core itself. One of them, named Vorn, had saved Jason during the mothership collapse. It spoke clearly now. "We follow you, Lightbearer." Jason frowned. "Don't call me that." Vorn tilted its head. "That is what you are." Jason turned toward the stars. "Let's find out what I really am." Launch into the unknown. The Dawnwalker rose from the Earth like a silent ghost. People across the world watched as it disappeared into the sky. Jason sat in the command chamber. The ship responded to his thoughts. Ellie sat beside him. "You okay?" Jason nodded. "Just listening." "To what?" "To the stars. They're not quiet anymore." He reached out with his mind, searching. And he found it. A voice. "Come, Earthborn, come and see what you have broken." Crossing deep space, the journey was not smooth. Space was darker than they expected, colder. They passed ruined planets, burned moons, empty worlds. Each one had once held life. Now only dust. Ellie whispered. "They really destroyed everything." Jason stared. "No, they tested everything. And everything failed." Then they reached the edge of a black system. At its center floated a giant structure, the Architect. World. Not a planet. A machine the size of Jupiter. Covered in silver towers, rotating rings, and frozen ships. The Architect homeworld. The ship entered slowly. No attack. No alarm. Just silence. Jason stood on the deck. "They're waiting." They landed in a cold valley of steel. Hive warriors stayed behind. Only Jason and Ellie walked forward. Doors opened ahead of them, and inside stood a room, filled with seeds, each one glowing. Jason touched one. A vision hit him. He saw how the architects created the hive, how they sent it to planets to grow, adapt, and obey. But Earth had changed it. Human emotion had corrupted the signal. Jason's voice shook. "We made them better." The final conversation, The architect mind appeared again, not in body, but in thought. A voice spoke into Jason's mind. You broke the pattern. Now others will follow. We must stop you. Jason replied, you failed. Your design was too perfect. You left no space for choice. And choice always finds a way. The architect paused. Then we must erase the core from existence. Jason asked, what if we can rebuild it? Together? Hive, human, architect? That is against order. Jason smiled. Then let's try chaos. The trap suddenly, alarms sounded inside the Dawnwalker. Ellie screamed on Combs. Jason! It's a trap. They're trying to shut down the ship. Jason spun. Walls closed around him. The architect wasn't listening. It was attacking. The floor cracked. Light beams hit Jason. He screamed, but then white energy exploded from his chest. Across the galaxy, Hive systems lit up. He sent one signal, awaken. The Hive uprising, all Hive across the galaxy heard the message. On old planets, buried Hives woke up. They tore through architect machines. Even old, dying creatures stood up, recharged by the core signal. The architect homeworld shook. Jason stood in the storm, energy swirling around him. His body almost gone, just light and will. Ellie reached out from the ship. We have to leave, you'll die. Jason smiled sadly. I have to stay. This is the only way. He looked at the architect mind. Your time is over. And then he let go. A new signal. The Dawnwalker escaped, just as the architect world exploded in light. From the sky, it looked like a new star had been born. Ellie fell to the floor, crying. He's gone, but Vorn placed a hand on her shoulder. No, he is everywhere now. Final twist, ending back on Earth. People looked at the sky. A new constellation had appeared, shaped like a circle with lines. The same symbol Jason had seen on the core. Then, all across the world, Hive and human began to hear a sound. Soft voice, in their thoughts. I am not gone. I am the bridge now. Build the new world, together. And so, they began. The world had changed. The war was over. The sky was quiet. But the memory of the fight lived in every city, every survivor, every scar, and above all, in the voice that still whispered across the stars. Jason Raynor was gone. But he had become something more. Earth rebuild cities once destroyed were now being rebuilt stronger, cleaner, smarter. Hive creatures helped carry steel beams, heal the sick, and clear rubble. They no longer growled or fought. They smiled. They spoke. Children played with small Hive drones like pets. Soldiers laid down weapons. One young girl looked up at the night sky and whispered, "Thank you, Lightbearer." Ellie's leadership. Ellie stood in front of a huge crowd. She wore a black jacket with a glowing white emblem, Jason's core symbol. "We thought the war would end everything," she said, "but it gave us a chance to begin again." People cheered. Hive soldiers stood beside them, heads lowered in respect. Rhea stood behind Ellie, now a world leader. "He would have been proud," she whispered. Ellie didn't smile. "He's still watching, I know it." The Jason core, deep inside a research center, hidden underground. A crystal floated in a sealed chamber. It glowed softly. White pulses moved across its surface like waves. Scientists and Hive watchers gathered around it. One Hive elder spoke slowly. "It carries his thoughts, his memories. He lives." Sometimes the crystal spoke, not in words but in feelings, warmth, hope, warning. One day, it showed them a star chart. Ellie stared at it. "What is that?" The Hive elder replied, "A map, his final gift. He wants us to go." The expansion program using Jason's map. Earth began building small hybrid ships. Not for war, for exploration. The first was named Hope 1, the second, Raynor Light. Each ship carried a crew, half human, half Hive, trained, peaceful, curious. They were sent to the stars to learn, not conquer. Ellie watched the launch and whispered, "We're not running anymore. We're reaching out." Strange signals. Years passed, peace held, but then something changed. A new signal appeared in deep space. Not Hive, not Architect. Something else. Ellie sat in the control room, listening. The signal repeated every 13 seconds. Unknown pattern. Approaching core, seeking contact. It wasn't hostile, but it wasn't human. She played it near the Jason core. The crystal glowed brighter. Then a voice came. Jason's voice. "Do not fear it. It's from before the architects, from the beginning." Ellie froze. "What beginning?" The core answered, "Ours." The first contact. Hope 1 reached the edge of the map Jason left behind. There, they found a strange planet covered in golden light and floating stones. They landed. A being approached. Not a machine, not a monster. Something made of light and thought. It spoke without sound. "You are children of chaos and balance. You have passed the first test." The crew didn't know how to reply. So the being touched their minds. Shared memories of the first hive, of the first core, of how the architects were only the middle piece, not the start, not the end. The origin revealed Jason's final message unlocked inside the crew's mind. The core was not made to control. It was part of something older. A balance between destruction and creation. The architects broke that balance. Now we must restore it. The being nodded. "You carry the last piece. Now you must choose." The hive soldier beside the human captain stepped forward. "We choose life." The being vanished, leaving behind a second map, one that reached into galaxies unknown. Final warning. Back on Earth, the core pulsed violently. One night. Scientists rushed in. A message played. Jason's voice, but more urgent. "Something else is coming. Not architect, not hive. Something that feeds on endings. Prepare, unite, do not fear." Then the core went dark for the first time. Ellie stood silently. "We thought the war was over." Rhea stepped forward. "Maybe that was just the beginning." The final scene. Years later, a monument stood on the tallest hill on Earth. A silver statue of Jason Raynor, hand raised, eyes to the stars. The base read, "He died to save us. He lived to guide us. Lightbearer, chaosbringer, human, hope." Hive, human, child, soldier all came to see it. Some left flowers. Others left glowing stones. One hive girl looked up and asked, "Will he come back?" Ellie, now old but strong, placed a hand on the child's shoulder. "No," she said, smiling. "He never left." The end.